The atmosphere inside the studio of The View was electric from the moment Carrie Underwood walked in. Cameras glided over the audience, capturing the buzz of excitement as one of country music's most beloved stars made her entrance. Dressed in a soft cream blazer over a sequined blouse and perfectly fitted jeans, Carrie exuded warmth and confidence. Her signature blonde curls shimmered under the bright studio lights, and that megawatt smile, so often associated with grace and poise, lit up the stage. The crowd erupted in applause as she waved and took her seat next to Joy Behar, who greeted her with a thin, practiced smile. The segment was supposed to be simple, an upbeat discussion about Carrie's upcoming album and her nationwide tour. The producers had envisioned lighthearted conversation, laughter, maybe even a live acoustic performance. But Joy, known for her sharp wit and no-filter approach, had other plans. From the start, there was tension beneath her smile, the kind that only those sitting on the stage could feel. "So, Carrie," Joy began, crossing one leg over the other as she leaned forward. "You've been pretty outspoken lately about some controversial topics. Do you ever worry that being so vocal might hurt your image or alienate your fans?" The question landed heavily. A small ripple of murmurs ran through the audience. Carrie's smile softened, though a flicker of discomfort passed through her eyes. "I think my fans know who I am," she replied, her tone measured and polite. "I've always tried to stay true to my beliefs and who I am as a person. At the end of the day, my goal is to spread positivity through my music." Joy tilted her head slightly, her tone tightening. "Positivity is great," she said, "but some of your beliefs, as you call them, don't exactly come across that way to everyone. I mean, in today's world, shouldn't artists try a little harder to be inclusive rather than divisive?" The air in the studio grew thick. The other co-hosts exchanged uneasy glances. One of them, Sarah Haynes, tried to interject with a laugh, "Let's not get too heavy this early in the morning." But Joy wasn't backing down. Carrie clasped her hands together in her lap. "Joy, I'm not here to discuss politics," she said, maintaining her composure. "I'm here to talk about music, my new tour, my fans, the things that bring people together, not tear them apart." But Joy pressed on, her tone sharpening with each word. "Well, I think people deserve to know where artists stand, don't you? It's easy to talk about unity when you're on stage, but off stage, sometimes your comments tell a different story." A wave of tension rippled across the set. The studio audience, once lively, had gone quiet. Carrie's jaw tightened. "I think everyone's entitled to their own opinions," she said, her voice still calm but laced with steel. "I respect others even when we don't agree. I'd like the same courtesy." Joy smirked, clearly enjoying the friction. "Of course," she said mockingly, "but when you're in the public eye, there's a certain responsibility that comes with influence. You can't just pick and choose when to speak up, or stay silent, especially if your silence hurts people." That was the breaking point. The subtle hum of camera equipment was the only sound for a long, tense moment. Carrie's expression changed completely, her smile faded, her posture straightened, and her voice dropped into a steady, unflinching tone. "Joy," she said slowly, "I've spent my career trying to lift people up. My songs are about faith, love, and strength. I'm not here to justify who I am or what I believe in. If that offends you, that says more about you than it does about me." The audience reacted audibly, some gasped, others clapped. The control room could be heard, faintly in Joy's earpiece, urging her to move on, but she ignored it. "Well," she said dryly, "if you can't handle a few tough questions, maybe this isn't the right place for you." That was it. Carrie's eyes locked onto hers for a long second, calm, piercing, and unflinching. Then, without another word, she reached up, unclipped her mic, and set it gently on the table. The studio fell into stunned silence as she stood up. "Respect works both ways," she said quietly, her voice carrying across the set. "I came here in good faith. But I won't sit through hostility disguised as journalism." The heels of her boots clicked sharply against the studio floor as she turned and walked off stage. The cameras struggled to keep up, the producers waved frantically behind the scenes. The audience, half shocked and half thrilled, erupted into murmurs as the remaining hosts sat frozen in disbelief. For the first time in years, Joy Behar was speechless. And as Carrie disappeared behind the curtain, The View had just witnessed a walk-off that would ignite headlines, hashtags, and debates across the country before the hour was even over. The moment Carrie Underwood disappeared behind the stage curtain, chaos erupted inside the studio. Producers were shouting directions through earpieces, Floor managers scrambled to cut to a commercial, and the audience buzzed with disbelief. The segment that was supposed to highlight Carrie's new album had turned into live television's most uncomfortable 5 minutes in months. Joy Behar sat frozen for a moment, her trademark smirk faltering. The tension on her face was unmistakable, part irritation, part disbelief. The other hosts, Whoopi Goldberg, Sarah Haynes, and Alyssa Farah Griffin, exchanged uneasy glances, unsure how to recover the show's tone. "Well," Joy finally said with a forced laugh, "I guess she didn't like the questions." The studio's silence deepened. Whoopi cleared her throat, her voice steady but sharp. "Let's take a break," she said quickly, gesturing to the producers. The screen faded to commercial as the audience whispered among themselves. Backstage, Carrie was already walking briskly down the hallway, her assistant and publicist trailing behind her. The cameras caught a glimpse of her expression, controlled but visibly shaken. Her hands trembled slightly as she removed her earpiece and handed it to a stagehand. "I can't believe she went there," she murmured. Her publicist, a seasoned professional who had dealt with live TV chaos before, tried to keep her calm. "You handled it perfectly, Carrie. You stayed composed. That's what people will remember." Carrie exhaled slowly, gathering herself. "I just don't understand why it has to be like that," she said. "I came to talk about music, not to defend my character on national television." Meanwhile, back on the set, the hosts were scrambling to control the narrative. When the show returned from commercial, Joy's tone was unapologetic. "We ask tough questions here," she said pointedly, "and sometimes guests don't like that. But we're here to have real conversations." Whoopi shot her a look, a silent plea to stop before things got worse, but the damage was already done. Within minutes, the internet exploded. Clips of Carrie's walk-off spread like wildfire on social media. Hashtags like #Carrie Underwood walks off, #TheViewDrama, and #Team Carrie began trending globally. Fans flooded X, formerly Twitter, and Instagram with reactions. "Good for Carrie, she doesn't owe anyone an apology," one user wrote. Another posted, "Joy Behar bullied a guest, again. When will it stop?" Others sided with Joy, arguing that celebrities couldn't expect softball questions when they stepped into political territory. Within an hour, the incident had made headlines across entertainment sites. Carrie Underwood storms off The View after heated clash with Joy Behar. News outlets ran clips repeatedly, replaying the tense exchange in slow motion, dissecting every word, every glance, every smirk. In her dressing room, Carrie sat quietly on a couch, sipping tea as her phone buzzed nonstop. Friends, fellow artists, and even journalists were reaching out with messages of support. One from Reba McEntire read simply, "Proud of you for standing tall, honey." Another came from a fan, "You showed grace under fire. Don't ever change." Carrie smiled faintly as she scrolled through the flood of messages. She wasn't angry anymore, just disappointed. "It's sad," she said softly to her team. "We're supposed to be lifting people up, not tearing them down on live TV." Her assistant nodded. "You just taught a masterclass in grace." Later that afternoon, Carrie posted a statement on Instagram. It was a simple photo of her walking down a sunlit street outside the studio, her back to the camera, wind catching her hair. The caption read, "Kindness and respect should never be optional." The post went viral instantly. Celebrities chimed in, fans flooded the comments, and major news outlets quoted her words in their headlines. The calm simplicity of her message contrasted sharply with the chaos of the morning. Joy, on the other hand, faced a storm of criticism. Viewers accused her of crossing a line, of turning a music interview into an ambush. The next morning, The View's producers reportedly held an emergency meeting to discuss the fallout. On the following episode, Joy offered a brief, carefully worded remark. "I've been in this business a long time," she said. "We ask questions. Sometimes emotions run high. It happens. No hard feelings." But many viewers felt the apology, or lack thereof, fell flat. Ratings for The View spiked for a few days, fueled by curiosity, but the comment sections were flooded with demands for Joy to apologize directly to Carrie. Carrie, however, had already moved on. 2 days later, she was in Nashville, rehearsing for her upcoming tour. During soundcheck, her band watched as she stepped up to the microphone, her expression calm and resolute. That night, when she finally took the stage before a sold-out crowd, the energy in the arena was electric. Midway through the show, she paused, speaking directly to the audience. "Sometimes," she said softly, You've got to walk away from the noise to protect your peace. And that's okay. The crowd erupted in applause, cheering her name. She smiled, eyes glistening under the stage lights, and strummed the opening chords to a ballad that spoke of resilience and grace. In that moment, Carrie Underwood wasn't just a country superstar, she was a symbol of quiet strength. What began as a brutal on-air clash had turned into something much larger, a reminder that dignity doesn't always need a microphone, and sometimes the most powerful message is delivered not through words, but through the act of walking away.